Comedy Simp, the podcast you can't resist. Stephen Michael James, the host you won't wanna miss. From Seattle to the world, his humor will persist. Join the fun, get ready to enlist.
Sitting in silence. Shut the fuck. I'm tired. I have to prepare for this big comedy show.
I know. This is a last-minute podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the Comedy Simp Podcast. Comedy Simp, the podcast
you can't resist.
Stephen Michael James.
Do you know
The host-
do you know the lyrics by heart?
The host you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
From Seattle.
My other favorite AI song you had was where it's like, it goes, Stephen Michael James.
Yeah.
Stephen Michael James.
There's like this metal song. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, AI is fun, but it's taken over, man.
No, I hate AI. It's that you're contributing to like my mortal enemy
I know.
when you do this stuff. I saw this video. It's pretty. They made another one, but this was like I didn't know about this first one until this second one. But anyways, like, have you heard about the Will Smith eating spaghetti AI?
No.
Okay, it's
not at all. Will Smith.
Yeah, it's an AI of Will Smith eating spaghetti, but it's like it's like all hyped right now because it's indistinguishable. People, they're like fighting. You remember when people were fighting over like the color of the dress or whatever?
Yeah,
that's what they were fighting over. Is like, this actually is Will Smith, and they're like, no, it's AI, and people are fighting, and then it turns out it was AI.
Wow. Why would somebody go? Well, I guess
for sexual reasons.
People still love Will Smith to this day. It's insane.
You know, what if the slap was AI?
Yeah, I know. What if Chris Rock was never real in the first place?
Yeah, I like. Okay. I saw this new conspiracy theory. It's I'll shout out the guy's name too. It's Fittest Flat Earther, I think, or
the Fittest Flat Earther.
And
well, at least I would believe somebody who takes care of themselves.
Well, he'll like zoom in on like Joe Biden's face. He's like, they always want you to think everyone's a clone. He's like, they don't have cloning technology. Cloning technology is made up. They would never have that on the flat Earth. And what's actually happening is there's only like 20 celebrities and they all wear masks. So like Keanu Reeves is Joe Biden and like Will Smith is like who is Will Smith? He was
Kevin Hart,
something like that. Yeah,
and Jack Black.
It was the guy that made Medea's like Day Off or whatever.
Tyler Perry.
Yeah, you said Tyler Perry and Will Smith are the same guy, and then he would like take side by side. He's like,
and
look at his thumbs.
And
look
Chris
at his
Tucker.
thumbs.
And Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Chris Tucker. No, people forget Chris Tucker was on the Epstein list, and everybody kind of conveniently forgot about that. But
yeah, he's like, can you understand? When he was like fucking them, he's like, can you understand the words that are coming out of my dick?
He like only all the underage girls like look just like Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
He just wants to relive.
Like, I only fuck with the Asian.
It's okay. We've been doing it for centuries.
Yeah.
Chris Tucker, and then Chris Tucker put out a special, I think, like 10 years ago. Like he's like, there's all these comics that like they disappear for a long time, then they come back. They put out something mediocre and then just doesn't happen.
Who's got a good special right now? Joe List.
Joe List. Joe List is going to be at Tacoma Comedy Club
I will
this
go to
weekend.
that. Joe List. He's on Tuesdays with Stories.
Yeah, the dude's kind of grown on me a little bit. I've always liked his stand-up, but like him on podcasts and stuff, he's just kind of a meek guy a little bit.
So
but
you know why you hate your own reflection.
I know exactly. I absolutely do.
You're like, fuck this mediocre podcaster.
Every mirror in my house, the face is covered up, and it's a picture of Jordan Peterson. Yeah, this is remember the seventh. Yeah. I don't know how many things that he has, but just remember to be a man.
Yeah. My favorite thing was there's this Candace Owens. She doesn't like Jordan Peterson
anymore.
Oh man! And she was like, "This is the guy who tells you to clean your room," and then it's like a picture of him doing like a Zoom meeting, but he looks disheveled and like he's got boxes and like clothes. Like so he's like the guy that tells you to clean your room can't even clean his own house.
Yeah, dude, the meme. I've been kind of on a deep dive on like kind of meme stuff lately, just because I have a short attention span, just like everybody else in the world.
Cocomelon.
And I never paid attention to a lot of the kind of streamers and stuff, like, Adam 22. We just
Right. You're
talk-
you're a late bloomer, basically.
Yeah. And being on Twitter, I never really post, but I see I get things that are advertised to me, things to check out. I see a lot of streamers, and I've been finding all these live streamers lately. And there's this one guy, Jack Doherty. You ever
Oh
heard of
yeah,
this guy?
no, I love that guy.
Oh man, he
He crashed the Lambo, baby.
this guy. He started off as
He was
this
on
little,
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, he started off as this little punk, this little kid who just did pranks at Walmart, and then he, made some money and he got a house, and then all of a sudden he ran this OnlyFans empire. He had all these girls who lived at this house, and he was getting a cut of all their OnlyFans.
Yeah.
He was basically pimping them out. But there's so many videos from these live streams of just him getting punched and
Yeah, he gets his bodyguards to fight for him.
Yeah, and the reason I even found out about him is because I was like, whatever happened to the Island Boys? The old Island Boys,
Yeah.
And
Remember when they made out?
well, I never knew that, man. I just
Oh!
found out last night. I was like, oh man, how did I miss this?
Dude, you missed out on a lot. But I
Yeah.
actually, I did have a pretty solid phase of just hitting whippets and scrolling Instagram and stuff.
That
So
sounds wonderful.
All of this stuff is just kind of reminding me of last summer.
Yeah.
When I was just I could have been doing comedy, but instead I was just hitting whippets and study. I was doing my research really for my future is what was happening.
Let's what actually what went down, man? Because I would say about a little over a year ago, we were going to do the show in Seattle, the Stand on Business. You had a car accident. Did you do any comedy after that, or did you just kind of stop?
That was kind of
immediately?
yeah. I mean, it was already kind of coming to an end, and I was just getting.
it was stressful.
I was getting bad. I was in a bad state of mind, and then I just kept getting bad luck after bad luck, and then the car thing, and then really what got me out of comedy. I mean, I hate to keep bringing this guy up, but part of it was going to JKT's party and then Cruz just being "Fuck you, you're a piece of shit," and da-da-da. So it was everywhere I went, comedy-wise, it just seemed that darkness and resentment and hatred followed. So that actually wasn't the final straw either.
So
it was
maybe even you weren't wanting to even think about comedy, and you'd run into comedy people.
Yeah, I would just, or I'd be I'd go. I remember Jay. There's 4 Bs.
Yeah.
And so I was really just fighting my own mind. I'm I don't feel like doing comedy. It was actually kind of just on Thursday when I hit you up, when I just was I was gonna come to buy a whiskey mile, but then I was I'm not feeling it. So I was having that. But see, now I know I want to do comedy. I just some days I might not feel it, but in that moment, it was just every day I wasn't feeling it. But I was okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna force myself to go, even though I'm not feeling it, because I love comedy. And then I'd go, and just when I go to 4Bs, and that was the day that it turns out they shut down the day before. They stopped doing the mic. So it was every step of the way: do a show, car crash, go to a comedy party, get in a fight, go somewhere else. People are talking shit about me, and it was just so. I was just I had these, but you know what? I think it speaks to is you really might be able to create your reality, because I was desperately not wanting to do comedy, but then I'd force myself to go, and then all this bad shit would happen, and it kind of maybe I was just manifesting it.
Who knows? I've been thinking a lot about this whole simulation theory. At first I thought the simulation, everyone's oh, we're in a simulation, chances are we're in a simulation, at first I thought it was the Matrix, we're humans, we're all plugged into this computer, or it's Ready Player One, we have a headset on,
Right.
we're just living in this. But then I thought about something that made me even more depressing, maybe some Black Mirror type stuff. What if, this is a weird thing, what if we aren't even people, we're all just programs?
That's what I think.
I know, that we've been designed and we think that we're real.
We
think
are,
that
no,
we're
yeah,
living
what
lives,
if we are,
but we're computer programs.
yeah, listen, what if we are Will Smith eating spaghetti?
Yeah.
So
Every strand.
Yes. No, but maybe we are just, so this whole thing is just a creation of the mind, but the mind has to simulate it. And so this isn't what I was saying about Will Smith. Maybe the Will Smith eating spaghetti one is more maybe somebody create, and another reality is creating Rob Conroy and Steve Michael James do a mediocre podcast. What does that look like?
Yeah.
And then they're just watching us
know.
And we think we're doing it, but they're actually just typing in all of our.
Yeah, it's an AI generated video. That'd be cool, like an AI Truman show.
Right, and now you're like really
Yeah.
confusing everything because you're like your AI is now creating an AI of
now
the AI.
my AI is talking back to them and creating another.
Yeah,
they're
and
like,
it's saying,
wow.
please stop, please kill me.
Their AI has me playing Minecraft, building
Yeah.
stuff all night long while my wife is mad at me because
I like my favorite podcast was the one you did by yourself and your wife was eating chips.
Yeah.
And it's just like crunch, crunch.
I put the microphone next to her. I was like, yeah, just chime in every once in a while. She
Yeah.
did not chime in.
Well,
at
she
all.
ate a lot of chips.
Yeah,
so.
no, she's a big fan of chips.
What's her favorite flavor?
I think, she goes back and forth. Right now, I think she's a fan of the sour cream and onion Lay's.
Yeah.
And I would say a lot of women, they're afraid to eat that kind of stuff around a man. They're like, I don't want bad breath. Not my wife. She said,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
going to
she's-
eat what the fuck I like.
She's like, there's no men in this house.
Yeah, just boys.
Yeah.
But,
Do you know that really fat rapper?
Fat Nick?
No, he's
Oh.
like the fattest rapper. He's like wears like air tanks and stuff. We're going to have to look this one up later.
I was going to say like Jelly Roll, but he's not even like a rapper. Wasn't he a rapper?
He's like a country rapper.
Yeah. That's my next move, if this comedy thing doesn't work.
Country music.
Country rap,
Yeah.
hick hop is what they call it.
Yeah, I like that.
Who in the comedy scene do you think could be a good hick hop rapper? I mean, there's this guy Steven Ryan down in Tacoma. I don't know if you know him. He could be great, but I know a guy that goes to the Shanghai sometimes, Dennis A.K.
Yeah, I know him.
He could be a good country rapper, but he's got to grow his hair out or something like that. Not a lot of country type guys in Seattle, They're not.
No, you get run out of town.
Yeah,
it's a scary thing to be.
Now, we did run into some interesting folks, I think last week, a couple weeks ago. Remember this guy, Dirty Dan?
Yeah, Dirty Dan and PH.
And PH Balance, baby. Those guys.
He got, they hated PH the most.
Yeah.
I think, 'cause he reminded me of...
it's just a shame that PH is allowed on stage, but PJ is not. You know? It's so...
PH won't be for long.
Yeah, PH, you need to go... I don't know, man. But then he
needs to go to like rehab or something.
He took some photos of me on the street, and he's like, "These are really good." I look at him; it's like dark and out of focus. I'm like, "All right."
Maybe that's what makes him good, though.
Yeah, I know. It's he's an artist, man.
Yeah,
not
the shadows are the dimensions of the shadows.
Not everybody's Bill Burr. Okay, some people are they're Harland Williams.
Yeah,
they're off the wall, off the beaten path.
But yeah, no, PH is just an unhinged guy. I've met his type. There's another guy his name's Nick, but he goes by Lucifer, and he runs around them. You'll run into him at mics every once in a while. The last time I saw him, he had a bunch of he was copying our buddy Robbie almost. He had like a horn that he honked.
Oh man!
And he had glow sticks, and he was snorting essential oils. He was putting essential oils on his he was going, and then he looked like he literally, and I'm pretty sure he just came from Burning Man.
Dude, I don't know if I'd ever want to go to. First of all, I mean, I've read about it. Maybe when I was younger, it sounded appealing, but then just how expensive. I mean, what's that money going to? It's all fucking like $600-700 camping tickets.
It's going to herpes.
I don't know.
I would go if you know what. I'm the type of guy that would go to Burning Man though. I went to the Rainbow Gathering, which is like a even shittier version of Burning Man. And like nobody fucked me. Yeah, it was terrible. It was free love. There was free love there, and like all these girls are like, there's naked chicks everywhere. Everyone's fucking, and I couldn't. Well, this one chick that I was like, I got a hitchhike a ride from there. She was like wanted to fuck, but she was hella like weird and alcoholic and flat.
I wonder how the original like kind of hippies started, with the whole free love thing, because up until
CIA created them.
Yeah, it could be. You might be onto something there. They did make a few movies about it. Old Charlie Manson. It was kind of weird. When we were young, like people like had like Charles Manson like T-shirts on and stuff. And they really like glorified that kind of, and like it's really just gone downhill. And I think that's what's wrong with the world today.
We need to start respecting cult leaders. Actually, there are a lot of cult leaders now. They're called influencers.
Yes.
Jack Doherty is a cult leader.
Oh yeah, I mean,
If you,
I will say that, I mean,
Andrew Tate, great cult leader.
the reach that these guys have is unreal. Like, I'll see some of our comics that we look up to. They'll do a podcast, gets 2,500 views.
Wait, like somebody we look up to, or
yeah. No, maybe just like somebody that's well known.
Yeah.
And then like these streamers will have like 640,000 views. And it's like, what are, the kids are, we gotta pay attention to what the kids
I
are
don't
doing,
know
man.
what they like.
The kids are
I feel like
cooked,
if we try, everyone's cooked. If you say cooked, I've decided that you're fucked. There's something wrong with you. We shouldn't say the word cooked. It's a bad thing to say. You shouldn't say bruh. You shouldn't say no cap. You shouldn't say gang, and you shouldn't say cooked.
I think a lot of those have expired at this point. I haven't really heard a lot of people say.
I've heard people
on
say
God
cooked still.
Cooked is a big
still,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, diabolical. I see that.
I've never heard that. That's a new one.
That's one I hear like, oh, doing that is so diabolical.
That's kind of cool. I mean, that reminds me of like righteous, bro, diabolical, dude.
Yeah. So,
Fucking
LA's got some crazy stuff going on, huh?
Oh, there's riots.
How about them riots, huh?
I actually missed. So I'm still.
What's the deal with those rioters?
I'm still stuck on the Elon the daddy issues.
Yeah.
Elon and Trump.
Well, I tell you, man, I'm very skeptical, and maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but this whole like everyone's like. It seems like they're kind of rallying around Elon a little bit, maybe like getting on his side, which
what if it turns out Elon is the genius mastermind everybody said he was originally, and this is all part of his plot to become. He's like first.
Very cool.
First, I'll get really close.
Comedy's back.
I'll get close to the president, and then I'll get in a fight with him.
I don't know much about South Africa, but I mean, it's my understanding that they have a very strict kind of segregation, between black people and white people, and that's where he's from. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I think that definitely ingrains something inside your brain. I don't 100% know what's going on, but regardless, I think that this whole like Trump and Elon. Like, what do you call it? A scuffle, I think it's fake. I think it's just designed to get people distracted and not pay attention.
What are the riots for, anyways?
It's ICE. It's all about like ICE taking the undocumented, undocumented people and even arresting people that are legal citizens. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty crazy because, I mean,
because our friend David Altamirano could be next.
Yeah, I know. Well, are they in New York? Maybe.
I don't think so, but yeah, it's I just realized I need to that'd be kind of cool to play like a double agent. Like I'll start making Mexican friends and then I'll just report them to ICE, and like maybe I could, you know what I mean? I could be like I could have like a name like that. They're like, watch out for El Blanco Diablo.
Blanco ISO.
Yeah, El Blanco Diablo. And they'll never. So there'll just be rumors of me. Like there's this guy who
say my name.
He befriends Mexicans, and then whenever he like, they just all the Mexicans seem to get deported around him, and like so I'll be like this like Mexican lore of like El Blanco Diablo, Rob Conroy. He befriends you, and then you.
See, like 20 years ago, we could have got away with doing something like that. Like, Ari Shaffir had this thing, The Amazing Racist, and
but I watched some of that the other day again, and it seemed very scripted.
It probably is, yeah, for sure. And then Chappelle, I was thinking about something else recently. 2002, you remember 2002?
Barely.
We were both in high school.
Yeah.
You're a little, like a year or two younger than me. 2002... for movies and culture was the craziest year and probably the most raunchy year in TV and movies, because all the movies that were out at that time, it was like every movie had tits in it, so it was just like American Pie 2
Yeah.
and
Something About Mary had that was the first
that was
time
the
you saw
jizz in the hair.
Yeah, and there was a dick. Remember, he zips his dick all the way up, and then they show it.
Oh yeah, the balls stuck
and
in.
I remember that when I saw
Yeah.
the zipper and the balls all the way zipped up, I was like, "This is the best movie ever!"
Yeah, Van Wilder,
Yeah.
like with fucking putting dog semen in donuts, and it's just like 2002 was pretty wild, man. And
Well, that's what those are the years of Steve-O.
yeah, oh dude, yeah, I can recall a time one of the early times I did mushrooms. I watched one of those Steve-O videos, and I got very sad and realized that you should only listen to Bob Marley and stuff when you're on mushrooms, not watch. So like on that particular Steve-O one, he had this like the second disc of the DVD was like a bonus disc. It's like, and it was like a short film called PCP Saved My Life, and the whole thing, it was this documentary about how he smoked PCP and he was up for like 7 days. Oh, and the other thing too was he put like a nug of weed in a condom and he swallowed it, and then he went overseas, shit it out,
And smoked it?
and it had PCP in it. And so then he was up for like 7 days, and it was just a crazy, crazy video. But during that video, there is a scene, and it's literally like a guy probably went to prison over it. There's like some random dude, some homeless guy or whatever on a skateboard, bunch of drunk guys outside of a bar talking shit. Steve-O's not even part of it. He's just like filming it. And this guy with the skateboard just picks up the skateboard and just fucking hits the guy like straight in the head, like just knocks
You watched that on mushrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like when I watched, I remember the first time I actually took mushrooms was with a group of my friends. And this guy, it was actually my friend Matt.
Somerville?
No. Yeah, Matt Anderson, no, but Matt.
Yeah.
So funny thing about Matt Anderson is he went to St. John's with me. His mom and dad and all his brothers and sisters are white, but he's black. And
oh, nice.
Whenever we'd be like, Matt, why are you black? And your family's white. He goes, I don't know, man. It just came out that way. And like that was literally what he believed for a very long time.
Oh, wow.
But anyways, so we're all high. And we're watching the news. That's another thing you don't want to watch on mushrooms. And but they're all laughing. And it was a story about a kid who got hit by a car and died. And he was actually on a skateboard, kind of like what you're talking about. But they just showed, so for the scene, like they're like in other news, and they just showed an empty skateboard just kind of rolling down the street.
No.
And that's what everyone was laughing at. It's just in my head, I'm like, we're laughing at death. We're laughing at a child died.
Mushrooms,
and it really scared me.
Mushrooms are tough, man. I've never done acid. Done mushrooms a few times, and
I did acid in Hawaii.
Yeah. Oh, with Jake E.T.
Yeah, that was a good time, man. Was
that the first time you did it? Or?
No, but
okay.
It was just a good memory of like. Yeah,
you guys were outside.
Yeah, we stayed outside on the beach, and apparently there was a meteor shower. And so we saw like 20 shooting stars.
Damn.
And then I was like, this is crazy. Then you don't just see this many shooting stars.
Yeah.
And then in your head's like, it's because we took acid. But anyways, it turned out there was a meteor shower that day, obviously.
And that's where you came up with the idea.
And that's when I realized
polygamy.
I'm a shooting star.
Just like that song by Bad Company, 1970s. Our dads probably listened to that.
Yeah, I don't know. My dad, like, he doesn't know music at all. I wish I remember. I'm gonna ruin the story, we were listening to like, it was like fucking, the Red Hot Chili Peppers were playing, and he was like, "This is Nirvana." Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, he's like going through like Joe Bidenism.
Oh yeah.
And then him and my brother got into my brother was like, "That is not Nirvana," and we forgot like it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like we all were in like some brain stupor. Because we're like, it's not Nirvana. It's like those other fucking guys. The guy, the drummer guy, and the shirts are off.
Yeah.
Roller Coaster of Love.
Socks on dicks.
Yeah.
Give it away now.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
But anyway, he literally just like called Red Hot Chili Peppers Nirvana, and he was committed to that mistake.
That lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I haven't read the book, but apparently in his memoir, he talks about sleeping with a 16-year-old girl. Dun, dun, dun.
Back when it was okay, though.
I know, they're talking about all this, like, pedophilia, that's going on in the
Pedialyte.
The Pedialyte that's going on in culture and then Diddy and all that. But pretty much, if they just go back to any mainstream, popular, legendary band of today.
The great Prophet Muhammad married a 9-year-old.
Yeah. And the great prophet John Lennon, he hooked up with like a 14-year-old.
No, they were
allegedly.
They were like slaying hot teen pussy back then, and it was not a big deal. And it's only as of recently we decided, we're like, oh yeah, it's cool to cut your dick off. It's cool to fuck like 18 buttholes. But if you had sex with a 16-year-old in 1985, you're a piece of shit.
Oh, you know what? Now I remember why I was talking about 2002. See, it all comes back, the weave. I miss comedies. I miss like comedy movies. And like 2002, that was kind of like the time where like any wacky idea, guy has sex with a pie, let's make a movie about it. He wants to lose his virginity, has sex with the pie. That's the movie. What if we let's come up with a script.
Hey, don't forget the flute and the pussy.
Like, let's come up with the script. And we can make it very, we could, not making fun of, but like, how about this? Like a trans time traveler, right? Like a trans person from today goes back in time to like the Roman times and like, educates, and instead of what would really happen is they would get killed instantly. It'd be more like a rom-com, where like the trans person falls in love with the young prince. And then, she teaches everybody how to be more,
trans?
Yeah. Just be more loose and be more open, be more like Lizzo, open, just
I like
free,
that.
free,
I do
free
like that.
Have a little more sass.
I like that fat is beautiful is going away.
That's been gone,
Like, men can be women, that's fine, but women cannot be fat, okay? That's just not, that is against the law.
Well, with RFK being in charge, pretty soon all this fast food and stuff's going to go away. We're all going to be eating like NASA paste.
You know what we should do is that you and me should buy up like all the like Mountain Dew. And so it's like, remember when Four Loko they changed the ingredient and everyone bought Four Lokos and they were selling like the original Four Lokos for like $10 a can? We should just buy like hella Mountain Dew. We'll just buy like whatever Red 48 or whatever.
Yeah, Red 9. Red 10.
I don't. You know what? That RFK
Skittles is changing. Skittles is getting rid of artificial colors, so maybe we should buy up all the Skittles.
It's all bullshit. Like RFK looks like shit. If he's eating, it seems like all the people I know that are really into, they're like schizophrenic about their diets.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, oh, you can't eat you don't drink the tap water. It has fluoride in it. Like they're all like tired and fat and old looking, and it's like. All the people I know that are just eating whatever they want, but like exercising and stuff, like they're fine.
I don't know what happened with me, man. I used to be a little chubby, especially starting comedy. But like,
I think drugs,
I think the last couple years, like food is just not.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's your attitude. Maybe your life is expanded. You're not as depressed.
Well, I used to get so much joy out of eating.
Yeah.
And like I'm not. Like my wife, for example, she'll talk about like wanting to eat at certain restaurants, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, sounds all right. And like, whatever. What do you want? I'm like, I don't care. She's like, don't you just want to have something that's really good? I'm like, honestly,
you're like, nothing's good.
Nothing's good anymore in this life, I mean,
that could be so many factors, though. I think because for me, that's happened quite a bit. I still like the Gushers and all the shit, but like all that shit though that. That I was like really into. It's like I'm just kind of like living a lie at this point. I don't want to let go. But the ultimate thing is like I don't really candy doesn't give me the joy it used to. Twisted Teas don't give me the joy they used to. Like nothing. And it's actually a good thing because now I'm not a slave to them. But also it's sad because I miss having something that I was a slave to. I miss my master, Skittles.
Well,
Master!
You used to be a slave to meth, so it was at least a little better for you.
Yeah, I guess.
Both are bad for your teeth.
Yeah,
so,
I should go back to meth. People, that's another thing. I'll say stuff like that, and then people get like worried. But it's like I guarantee you, if I did meth, I wouldn't go on like a meth. I would do meth, and then I'd be like, "This is horrible. I know why I stopped," and then I wouldn't do meth anymore. Like it's not like I'm like chomping at the bit every day to like I can't. This is so hard. Like no, I don't want to do it.
I noticed some crowds, they tighten up when you talk about like drugs and stuff, like, you know, like, I don't know, maybe they had a cousin or something that had an OD or whatever, but it's like, you know, this is my life, man.
Yeah.
This is my experience, you know,
And,
like,
yeah.
my mom, when she was a nurse, she's retired now, so it's past the point of any sort of incrimination, but, you know, she used to work at this convalescent hospital. It's like where people would go, basically they're gonna die. Like they're old, they have problems, you know, like, you know, holes in their bodies, legs coming off, gangrene, all that kind of crap. And she'd have to go around and give them their pills, their opiates and all that. And some of these old guys, they were just like, I don't want it, you know? And so she would put it in her pocket and conveniently forget it was there.
Yeah.
'Cause she's supposed to dispose of it. And then it would end up in our house in her bathroom. So
That's
you know,
awesome.
Every once in a while, I get to try new things. Have like a little.
What was your
A
favorite?
Percocet or an Oxy or, you know, I like Norcos. Norcos are like the yellow Vicodin with the little
10s.
check mark. You know, those were my favorite. A lot of people aren't down with the Vicodin. You know, with the constipation.
I miss the Oxy 80s.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has a different. Well, it's true. Everybody has a different DNA, different makeup, and so things affect them differently. It's weird how, like, I could have a few beers, but I usually sober up pretty quickly, and I never get mean. There's other people, they have one drink, and they're assholes. You know?
Yeah, and then or it's on. And it's just like we're getting wasted, like party, fucking bomb at Whiskey Mile.
And then there's people. There's people like you, me, some of our friends out there in the comedy scene that do a variety of activities, and we're just built for that. I almost feel like maybe in our past lives we were like shaman. Maybe we're shaman.
Such a funny. Yeah, I mean,
you
you don't know how
medicine
many
man.
meth shamans I've met.
Yeah.
Like they're like, it connects me to the spirit world. It's like, yeah, the devil.
I mean, if there was no entertainment, TV, you're living in medieval times, I mean, yeah, I would believe in God too if I was to take meth or mushrooms. Or I wonder, you know, meth is synthesized in a lab, but there's got to be, isn't there a natural, is cocaine, would that be like the closest natural thing?
No, I don't know.
There's
Actually, there's amphetamine. I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's going to be close, yeah, but I don't know what plant would be like.
Because I know, like, there was definitely people at one time that would chew on leaves and get like nice buzzes and get addicted to it.
Oh yeah, we've been like loving getting high forever, and I actually still think it's connected to God and shit. Like, so you know, like all the cartels and stuff, like they love to like do voodoo and like ritual sacrifice. Like they're hella into like
Santeria. One,
like so they're all. So I just kind of like think it all. If everything's sort of connected, like maybe the drug, you know, like so they're doing all these ritual like magic to push these drugs, and then people get the drugs, and then, like, I literally was smoking meth with this guy that was part of the like he was a very low cartel underling, and then he's like, hey man, do you want to go to the woods and do some witchcraft? And like I'm like, so they all like are believing it, and then you take it and you actually do feel like you're connecting to some kind of higher being, and weird stuff starts happening, like it's almost like magic. That's why I think so many people go crazy, because they're like, they actually did see some weird shit happen, and now they're just like, they're like stuck on it. They'll just keep doing meth and like trying to like recreate the magic, but it's not, you know, they're just trapped.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that they do ritual magic and stuff, like it is interesting to me. You know, it's like, I'm not saying that it's like there's like this you know, like what the Christians say or whatever, there's some like God in heaven and the devil, but just maybe like energetically speaking, it's like kind of connected in the way our consciousness works. Like the drugs and the magic and the devil worship, it's all connected. And that's why now when you go outside, you look like you're in a zombie apocalypse in hell.
I feel like we need to get Duncan Trussell on our pod, you know?
Yeah,
man. Yeah. Like, I believe in everything that you're saying. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Shout out to that guy.
That guy dude, talk about Joe Rogan. He's a Christian now.
You know,
He's a non-drinking Christian guy now.
I won't say, I don't know if Duncan Trussell is one of my favorite comedians. I've seen him live. He was really funny. But he is a truth teller, man. Like, I can't believe all the things that, well, I guess I can believe it. Like, he saw the writing on the wall. Like, you know, these things are going to happen, and I'm just going to sit back and just live in my own world. And He did a podcast with Zach Fisher. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, Zach Fisher. When I started comedy, I think it was like 2023, had like a podcast that was like, I don't think it was a comedy podcast. I think it was just like just him talking to interesting people, and he did a Zoom with him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, with Duncan Trussell. Dude, that guy is tall, man. Every time I see him, I'm like surprised. He's like just like you know. You guys are just
man. Us
so
tall, us tall guys are closer.
6'2"
we're
guys.
closer. We're more connected.
Yeah.
We're higher minded.
Who's the tallest comic we know? I mean, Brad Duncan's pretty tall.
Yeah, he's taller than me.
Nick Cody, I guess. Nick Cody's tall. He's also just huge, but
Yeah.
is anybody taller than Nick Cody? There's got to be like a black dude, Nate Jackson's.
Yeah, just like
that- one of
skinny,
those
tall,
old
like basketball
players.
player
Yeah,
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a basketball player that was comedy. Yeah. Speaking
you
of,
should have done the Harlem Globe. Damn
I
it!
think you're saying
Yeah.
the Harlem
Yeah.
Shake.
The-
He should have done it. You know,
Why aren't you doing the Harlem Shake?
we should watch Harlem
It's like-
Nights with Eddie Murphy. You know. I've never been to Harlem. Never been to New York. you know?
When I went to New York, I got a free trip to New York. And
Oh yes, you told me. Yeah, you went with a chick, right?
No, it was a
No?
dude that.
Or the
yeah.
Okay.
And I was thinking he was gonna turn. He actually did turn out being like bi or something, and I thought that like before I went that it was gonna be like I'm gonna have to like figure out how to
Get out of this.
get out of this. But he ended up being like we actually just became friends, and he's like, and he never even made a move or anything. So I didn't actually figure out like. I didn't figure out he was bi until like later on, and then I was like, okay, now it's all making sense. So I invited me on the trip because I was like, oh, maybe he's just a nice guy because nothing. Anyways, I took I got on the subway and I just went to Harlem. I went to Queens because I like the show King of Queens, and I bought a beer and I drank it. Yeah, and then I went to Harlem, and that's pretty much that was my trip because I didn't have any money, so I just kind of like wandered around the streets and like drank Budweiser and fucking went to places that that pop culture told me I should.
Yeah, that one radio guy that I worked with for a little bit that made me cry. On
Yeah,
there.
it called you fat or something?
No, he was so a bunch.
I know, we've heard the
bunch of
story.
stuff. But his whole claim to fame was he was on like one episode of the King of Queens.
Yeah.
Like he was like it was like
Dude,
a special thing because
the King of Queens inspired me because I'm like, dude, fucking Carrie, she's fine. She's got attitude, and
Yeah.
she's with this fat guy. I'm like, life is gonna be easy for me.
You know, I was just talking about sitcoms. I'm like, I miss them. It's not something that I mean, like Tim Allen, I think has one right now, but King of Queens, it was just an idealized version of what life could be. You know, like if you're a loser, you might get a hot girl
And
you
a
know?
black guy friend.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, work at UPS or whatever it was. Have a dorky friend like
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt. You know, have to live with your. You know, I lived with my father-in-law, and it was nothing like that TV show.
No, it sounded pretty bad.
You know, unless King of Queens was like an alcoholic drug addict who does
Well, it
inappropriate
was
searches on
annoying.
YouTube.
I mean, that kind of was him. He was just like a fun
Yeah.
version of that. Because he wasn't an alcoholic, but he was definitely like he was invasive and he always got in the way. But it was in such an endearing way that like you loved him for it. Where like in
nice
most of
crash over
reality,
here.
you actually hate the toxic person.
Yes, we're doing a live podcast
Yeah, there's a
next
car
to
crash.
a car crash.
You should go out there and interview him. Hey,
hey, we're doing the
how
live.
does it feel to slow down traffic? You fucking learn how to drive.
Yeah.
You.
I can't believe it, dude. It's every day. Every day there's a car accident. It doesn't.
Do you know about my friend We Jesus?
Jesus, yes.
He thinks that he actually believes that traffic is designed. Like he thinks everything is controlled by the hidden hand. You know, like he's like he obviously thinks 9/11 was an inside job, and he thinks that nukes aren't real, whatever. But he thinks that traffic is designed just to annoy us, and that it could be fixed. Like they're doing it on purpose. They could just change the lights, and they could do some like push a button basically, and traffic would never happen.
Well, I don't think he's completely wrong.
I think that I don't think it's on purpose though. I think they just don't give a shit.
Did you ever see a movie with Michael Douglas called Falling Down? It was from the 90s.
Mm-mm.
So in this movie, Michael Douglas plays a guy who he's just like, I think he's just trying to see his kid or something like that. and he
Just wanna see
gets
my
stuck in
kid.
traffic, and then some guy cuts him off, and just bullshit after bullshit, and then he ends up like getting a gun, and he's just going on a rampage.
I feel like that's like the Taxi Driver.
It's
or
kind of
something.
like that, yeah. So there's a scene in the movie. I saw this as a kid, and I never forgot it. So he's talking to a guy, and he's like, hey, what's all this construction going on? He's like, oh, we're doing this and that. And he's like, oh, why, if you're doing this, how come this is going on? And he's like, you know what I think? I think that you get a certain amount of budget to use every year, and if you don't use your budget, you're going to get a smaller budget next year. So you guys just create these problems just to spend money. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old brain, who's probably too young to be watching that, I was like, what? Government overreaching? I can't believe it, and then
Government subsidies?
insane. And then now, I try not to get too involved in it.
Well, there is that. I mean, it is that part's true. There's a logical thing.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me of
Well, it's
when
like the Doge, we heard about
Yeah.
that, but what did it remind you of?
When I got in a fight with the Comcast people recently,
Yeah.
because I was basically my aunt. She's she's kind of like an invalid, and we have to do everything for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so we call Comcast, and she wants to like talk about renewing her contract. So we call Comcast, and it's like going to be a big long thing, and they need her last credit card, and and we don't have any of that stuff. And then so they're like, well, if they agreed that if I bring her ID to the Comcast store and I bring her credit card, and also she gives them verbal like
Over the
validation
phone, yeah.
over the phone, I can go down there
Yeah.
and change, talk about her contract or whatever. So they said, yes, of course you can do that. We got it all lined up. I get down there, wait for an hour. Even though I made an appointment, I still
Yeah.
waited an hour. And then I get there, and they're like, oh, sorry, we can't do anything unless she's here. And I'm like, no, we
just
talked
talked
to
to
him on the
yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
And then I'm like really pissed off, and I'm like, you guys do this all the time, and they actually screwed me over with the phone one time, and they set me up with 2 lines, and then I couldn't cancel them for like 2 years, and I overpaid them like $1,000. So they've already fucked me a bunch. I'm like, you guys are just fucking me again. And then they're like, well, you got to understand FCC regulation. We have to abide by their rules, and wouldn't you hate it if someone hacked into your account or whatever? And I'm like, no. You guys will add lines and shit. If it's giving you more money, you've done it with me.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You could talk to I'm like a 3-year-old
Yeah.
who's adding lines, and you'll do
Absolutely.
it. But when it comes to changing,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and so I'm like, what you're actually doing is you're not doing anything with the FCC. That's just a scapegoat you use so that a salesperson can lie to me, and then I can never reach that salesperson again. And now I'm talking to you, and you blacklist me and you take away all credit, like all responsibility of your lies and you're cheating by like putting it on this like, oh, the FCC regulation. You just if I add lines, you'll do it in a second. When I try to take it away, it's this big fucking thing, and it's not the FCC,
Yeah.
and you're not protecting me. You're just being you're irresponsible, or you're like skirting responsibility so you can be liars and cheats.
Well, and isn't it telling that you can sign up for something and buy something with the push of a button, but to cancel it, you
Yeah.
gotta call and talk to somebody on the phone.
And then you still can't get anyone on the
They're
phone.
like, sorry, what? You want to cancel your subscription to benaughty.com?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you sure?
I would never cancel that.
Can you tell me?
I only try to cancel my gym
Can you
membership.
tell me what your problem is with the site? Is there
Yeah.
anything we can do?
They're
What
not
if-
naughty
What
enough?
if we get you a free 1 month trial gold membership? No.
No, they're like, well, we're gonna tell you. We've seen where you look, and we
So-
know your wife's name.
I am married. I'm a big fan of women, but for whatever reason, man, every time I go on TikTok, I constantly get advertised these trans dating apps to me. I don't know why. It's just like, I'll see somebody, it looks like a girl, and then it's like, interested in trans dating?
The
sign up
algorithm
here
knows
now.
you well.
It's like, I don't know if it just looks at me and they're like, we know
No,
what this
well, I
guy
think
likes,
there's a lot. So there's a lot of people that they might assume might be addicted, like into trans people. There's some trans people at the restaurant that I work at the other day, or not trans people. There's just like really, you could tell he's like an incel-y, like he definitely watches Andrew Tate, and he's really, you could tell he probably does Amway or some kind of sales, but he's just really dorky.
Yeah.
And he was with this trans girl, and he was just holding her hand and like caressing it, and I could just tell. I'm like,
Yeah.
he wants a real chick, but he can't get one, so he's going for the next best thing, a hot trans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and sometimes in some situations that could even be better. It could be even better, you know.
If you're into,
no babies, you know, that kind of stuff.
Well, I said, and you know, PJ made fun of this. Everyone, I was like, if the girl's hot enough, not a trans, but if it's like a super, like, I'm so into this chick, she like makes me nut looking at her, I would let her peg me.
Yeah, why not?
I would be fine with that.
Hey, whatever happens in the privacy of your own home,
yeah.
as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else.
It hurts my anus.
Now, whatever you decide to film for content and share with the world, that's between you and a consenting adult.
I saw a very weird thing. It was a YouTube short, and this guy, he had like black tattooed eyes and like face tattoos, like, except for his like eye holes. And he's like, okay, I'm getting married, and he's like, but my wife wants me to fuck her friend first, so that we can make sure that I will commit to my wife, and she wants me to get it out of my system. Don't worry though, she's gonna be there telling me what to do and like rubbing her pussy. You know where to find it. This is a YouTube short I got.
Jesus.
And I'm like, dude, what is this? Is this Jack Doherty's like evil twin? Because it's just, I don't know. I found it was too degenerate. I'm sorry. I don't find, it's like, can we have a little bit of class, people? Just a little.
Well, I don't know if I'm just getting old or if the world really is kind of it's just become highly sexualized. And I don't know if it's just like me having a kid and being more aware of it, but like, man, just everything is like...
the more I get ED, the more this place gets sexualized. Like, obviously, I see what's going on here.
And where is it going to go, people? I mean, like, I hear about these young guys now that addicted to porn, and before they're even 20, and they can't then they're using, Viagra, Cialis and stuff, and then by the time they're 30, it's like, it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
Plus, they're on all the antidepressants. And
I do love a good Blue Chew, though.
Yeah, I've never had one.
Oh, dude,
I'm saving my tolerance until, I need it.
Yeah, I don't need them all the time, but it's a good one when, let's say, it's just like you're just really not in the mood to fuck. Like when I was a kid or younger, even if I wasn't in the mood, it's like I could still go. But there's just these times where it's like I'm not in the mood. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You take one of those, and you don't have to be in the mood. you're just a big fucking.
Ooh, what's this guy say?
Stiff pull. Probably
all right, we got ourselves a
pathetic
protester.
Losers waste money on military parades. I don't get it. What does that mean?
I guess, did Trump have a military parade?
I don't think so. I think that guy's a schizo.
Yeah.
He's the only guy. There's one guy.
One protester on the bridge.
And it just said, pathetic losers waste money on military parades. Maybe it's like, maybe he's like really into geopolitics. Like it's like some like African guy, some African leader.
Oh, Mr. No Pants, or was that Captain No Pants, or some Sudanese guy.
See, you know more about the geopolitics than I do. All I know is
Hotel
America.
Rwanda. I've seen a lot of movies.
I only know America. We got is she a hot chick next to us? No. But she's like a nice.
She's
like a sweet girl. Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
If I took a Blue Chew, we'd be going right now.
You know, it'd be great if we continue to do podcasts in the car, but we get multiple cameras so we can just like, splice in everybody.
I don't mind. I kind of like the car too. I feel more comfortable in here. It's like sitting on a chair, like forcing yourself to talk. We do well, but it just, I feel like I'm vibing more in the car. I'm just
we're gonna talk.
We gotta kill an hour anyways.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, we're just creating, people make fun of him. Bert Kreischer, he's a kind of, they say, overrated comedian, but I respect the guy's grind when it comes to like advertising, money. I saw a thing. He's like, Everett, Washington, I'm coming to the Angel of the Winds Arena, and I'm like, that's not AI. He probably stood in his backyard and he did that 30 times to every city, and then had his team, put the stuff out. And
he's not. I watched The Machine. I fell asleep during it. I need to finish.
I saw that in the theater.
But it wasn't that as bad. I thought it was going to be really bad, and it was only like
it was just average. It was just an average movie. Like, it was kind of okay, like there was some parts that were funny, and then other parts you're like,
I didn't really find anything funny so far. Like I said, I fell asleep during it, but I was like, it didn't. I enjoyed watching it. Unlike Tom Segura's Bad Thoughts, I hate. It's a nightmare. It's like punishment watching it.
Yeah, I haven't seen, a lot of these comics they're coming out with stuff. I know like Stavros has a movie on
I like
Hulu.
that guy. Let's Start a Cult. That's
Yeah.
very funny.
I didn't see that movie, but I had an idea about that when I was a kid. Like, it's like I'm gonna write a comic book series called Let's Start a Cult, and it's about the beginning of a cult. I was like all obsessed with like, the Jim Jones and Waco.
I've been told I could start a cult. I feel like
there are some cults out there. I want to check. I just want to do some research into them. Maybe we can get some cults on the podcast.
No, that would be a good idea.
Scientologists.
Why don't we actually start just like we could actually interview cult leaders?
Why not? I mean, give them their chance to if they're not afraid,
Because it would be good. I think we need to like come up with something. It doesn't have to be that incredible, but just something that people are going to be like some kind of like Juan wanted us to do a niche. And like the Seattle comedy scene, that's a good niche. But what if it's like the Seattle comedy scene? The Seattle comedy scene interviews cult leaders.
Well, see, I've kind of thought a little bit about it. About the way this podcast has developed. Almost 50 episodes now. When I have certain comics on, I get a little bit of like more comic talk, comedic advice, that kind of thing. But then when I have like you or a couple other people on, then it's just like we just talk about what's like more crazy. So it's kind of like Joe Rogan a little bit.
You just never know you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But it's very important stuff, and it's groundbreaking.
I just
culture.
need to do more COVID talk. I don't do enough of that. I don't talk about COVID nearly as much.
No, because I'm not traumatized now. COVID, I miss COVID. I had more money.
What was the beginning of COVID for you? What were you in 2020?
I was in a sober living. I was in a sober living house in Beverly Hills.
Oh, Beverly Hills.
Yeah, and I was working as like a call center.
Uh-huh.
And it was a sales. It was the worst job ever. I just got it. Because I had just gotten out of rehab, and the government was paying for my rehab. And then when I got to the sober house, it was like hell expensive. It was like $1,400 a month for like, and I was sharing a room with 4 other people in this like big house in Beverly Hills. So I needed to get a job, and it's like everyone's connected in the sober community, so it was easy to get a job. But these people were like scam artists, and what they did was we would have to go cold call real estate agents in the area and be like, I'm looking at your Facebook page and it doesn't have a very good reach or whatever, and I would like to offer you this service we have where we completely revamp your Facebook page, and we like make better pictures of your homes, and we have special videos and stuff. I didn't sell one because I didn't, what your Facebook page, like, what a lame service offer. Like, hey, could you imagine even if you do it to comedians, I'm going to make your Facebook page cool. And so I just didn't believe in it, that people would be like, and the service was very expensive. It was like $400 a month for us to like give a few videos of your page.
My God.
Yeah. And so anyways, I worked there for a week, and I remember I was like scared. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? And I was like, prayed. This is another reason why I believe in God. I think I made COVID happen.
Yeah.
I like prayed to God. I'm like, God, please give me a way to get some money so I can stay here, but please make it not be this job. And then I go into work like a day later, and like, there's this big virus. You guys need to go home, and we might not have you be working. You might be out for like a week. And then I was like, okay, that's horrible. And then boom, virus thing happened. And then everyone that I work with is like, bro, you can get on unemployment. And so then I got on unemployment, and I got like an instant like $3,000. And then I started making like $700 a week on unemployment because they were just giving it away. Literally, I just had the job for like not even a month.
They did this thing. I was working at a garage door company in Linwood, and I wasn't the technician. I worked in the warehouse, but they did this thing where if you didn't get like a full 40 hours or something like that, they would give you like $600 a month or something like that. And so these technicians, the guys that go fix garages, their jobs, their hours were dependent on how long the job would take. So if they were getting close to their 40 hours and they had another job, they'd be like, you know what, I'm going to reschedule this. I can't do this today.
Yeah.
And they go home, and then they get their $600 check, and it was just like, it was so many people were doing that, and the company was just couldn't do anything.
I got the small business loan because I was also doing contract work at like I'd done contract work before rehab. Like I did like some voiceover stuff, so I was technically considered a.
You got your SAG card?
No, I didn't get that. No, but
Bummer.
no, I didn't.
Soon.
I mean, geez,
be in
by
more
now I
movies.
should have had it. If I've been at it since 2016, I should have at least gotten a damn SAG card.
He was in a movie, people.
Yeah, red carpet event.
Yeah. Were you in other stuff too, or just that one?
Uh,
Were you in
no.
like short films or anything?
I mean, well, okay. On my IMDb page, I'm on like 2 or 3 short films, but it was kind of a scam. Like me and this guy Castro Vegas, who's a comedian down there.
Shout out.
We would make like these like really bad short films and then just register them with IMDb just to add to our thing. So like literally we did one where I was a scientist and I was like creating a new kind of plant, and then the plant came to life and like tries to kill me. But we filmed it in his like house in Compton. And so it's like just so poorly filmed. So like the laboratory is like how you can see like his microwave and like his dirty ass apartment full of beer cans and stuff. But anyways, it was just to add like so that when you go on the IMDb pages, there's like more. We have more credits because he would register them as short films. It's super easy. Like anyone can do it.
Yeah, I definitely want to start doing some
You
more.
should be able to register this podcast even.
Who knows? I want to do some more like video stuff. I think I was talking about it a little bit last time.
We never did Homeless Rob. I'm very disappointed.
Dude, we're going to do... No, I have ideas, man. I want to do Homeless Rob. I want to do something about white rappers. I don't know what.
I do feel like...
In fact, maybe we'll talk to Logan about it. He used to do a little hip-hop.
Yeah.
I want to... Like, we were talking about something earlier, and I was like, this would be a great sketch. What if we did a sketch where it was just like somebody who needed to talk to someone, and every time it was like they were waiting, and it was like... Okay, we're going to bring you into this next room and then make them wait a little bit more. And then it was like, okay, we're almost ready for you. Just come in over here and make them wait again. And then just like by the 7th time, they just...
I have something similar that I wanted to do. It's it would be like I want people to come see like me play guitar or something. Like maybe it's an open mic, whatever. But people are there and they're going to see me play music. But then I just keep tuning my guitar and I'm like checking everything and I tune it, and I just do that for like 20 minutes straight, and then I go, all right, thank you, and that's the whole show. All
right, that's been
real life.
That's been real life for me sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Like me and my friend, like sometimes in those bars, it's so hard to hear. You have electric guitars, but yeah, that's.
But I think that would be like, because people are like watching, so like they're anticipating you to like start playing music any moment, and you just literally just keep tuning your guitar for 10, 15 minutes.
There's no bigger buzzkill than tuning. Like it takes forever.
All right, thank you.
And then like me and my friends, we would tune by ear. So some guys they have some guys have the little tuner on the ground, and then we're just like.
Yeah. Is that tune? Check. Check.
All right. 2,
all right,
3,
guys,
4.
we're gonna start soon. Yeah.
Carry on
so that's kind of what I want to do is a skit. But like nobody knows. Like they think they're gonna see something cool, and then it's just that.
Yeah, homeless Rob, man. That was the beginning.
We could maybe make it.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I got more time, and it seems like all my days off I like to dedicate to doing something. So.
And when Halloween comes around, I want to do this thing where it's like a vampire short film where this is like. It's like the Lost Boys, where a new comic, he gets welcomed in with a bunch of experienced comics, and then realizes that they're all a bunch of vampires.
Yeah.
And it's a metaphor on like actual comedy.
Yeah, I mean,
they're just sucking all the life out of you.
You know what? One of the vampires should like. He should be like a super hot chick.
Yeah.
And then she like bites him and like doesn't turn him into a vampire, but just like sucks all his blood out, and then he's like this useless thing, and then she accuses him of sexual assault.
That's totally that's 2025. I don't know in my head, like I would like Adam Tiller to maybe be, I don't know, a vampire, and maybe not a head vampire, but he maybe like the main muscle.
Yeah.
J. Marks would be a good vampire, but he feels like it's kind of too on the nose.
Quinn.
Quinn Fitzgerald. who'd be a great maybe?
No, Jay is too on the. That's why he would be a good.
Yeah,
vampire.
yeah.
He's like the head vampire.
Yeah, that would be great if Jay Marks could be like the head vampire, because then he could do his comedy too, like, you know, like before he kills somebody, he could just tell him like a funny line, you know,
Yeah.
and then, you know, he's like, that guy's really gonna love drugs. You're dead, you know. Cruz could be a good vampire. He could be like actually Cruz could be like
he's okay.
He's like Igor,
listen.
you know.
He's human.
Yes.
But he's trying to get big.
Yes, what are those
and nobody,
called?
Yeah, I like
a familiar. I
Yeah,
heard Joe
yeah.
Rogan talking about
Yeah.
it. He wants to be a vampire,
Yeah.
but he has to do all these things.
Yeah, and nobody like everyone just fucks with him.
Yeah, and he's just like, by the end, he's killed everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and hid the bodies, and he still won't let him be a vampire. And then, you know, if it goes well, we could do like we could do a follow up where it's like that True Blood show. We start bringing in werewolves. You know,
We'll get superheroes
well,
too.
yeah, Nick Cody could be a werewolf. You know, I think Scott Coburn would be a good Nosferatu. You know, if we can get him to shave. Or Jason McBride, that would be another one.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a vampire. You're dead. You know. Yeah. Casey, who knows?
All our friends.
Yes.
All our friends nobody knows.
I'm curious to see who's going to be down here tonight. I mean, these little weird kind of on the mic. Well, not on the mic. Well, that's what it is. But just these kind of random non-comedy club mics. You know, they're kind of last minute. You know, everybody's just trying to get people there, and you know.
That's why they were so excited to get me on.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it was.
Well, I
thought
saw
you had
that.
some power, but they're just like, yeah, you can come. Please.
I saw them posted today. They're like, if anybody wants to be on this, you still have time to sign up. You know, so we'll see. You know, 2 of the biggest female comedians in this area will be there tonight, though. You know, Jess Anderson and Lynette Manning talked about
Oh,
them
is she big now all of a
several
sudden?
times. I mean, they're pretty much like they're opening up for Sam Miller.
Okay.
You know,
They're sucking at Sam
they're-
Miller's dick.
They're I wouldn't say that, you know. They're just, you know, they've earned their spot,
Yeah.
you know, in the scene as some of the top ladies, you know.
Ladies on top.
I will say they both have had some stuff that has made me laugh. I just, you know, I don't really, being the comedy simp, you know, I haven't given as much love to the female comedians as I could, you know.
That's because they need to give it first. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. We're waiting for you,
Yeah.
ladies, you know.
Where's my love?
Where's my hugs? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
give me a hug,
Yeah.
and then maybe I'll laugh.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, we'll see. I mean, it looks like a nice stage. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on Tuesdays. It's you have, up here in Seattle, you got the thing we did last week, you know, Emerald City, and then you have club comedy. I'm sure there's another random mic somewhere. And then come down here to Tacoma,
I got next Tuesday off too, so
Yeah.
we should do another adventure.
Well, next Tuesday we could come to Nate Jackson's.
Oh!
Nate Jackson's doing tight
Chris
five Tuesdays.
Harlem Shake.
Yeah. Yeah. The old yeah, no, there's and that mic is not full either, so I'm curious. We'll check it out. Check that one out. Tacoma, they do their open mic. I'll be there later in the month, but now we're in a good old Seattle.
Yeah, right downtown, right in the fentanyl capital
Yeah.
of.
Fent Alley. Whoa, buddy.
I like Fet Dog.
Yeah, Fet Dog. Is he still around?
Oh, I see him every once in a while.
Yeah, and then Big Fet Dog. I've seen that. And I was like, is that?
That's his dad.
Yeah. Mr.
I should just change. Yeah,
Fet Dog
I'm gonna be
Senior.
Lil Fet Dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, because it's just, you know, it's good. It's more mainstream now. Maybe that's the problem. We're demonizing fentanyl.
Yeah.
Because like Kodak Black just had a new freestyle, and he's like young player with the meth habit. So like now they're admitting they do meth now, which
Wow.
is nice. I like
Just
that.
checking out our time. We've done an hour already.
And we're not even.
I
out
know.
of Seattle.
That's how shitty traffic is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's tell some stories, man. Let's talk about some stuff. You know, I think a lot about. I'm not too deep on the conspiracies. One thing that I always thought about that's kind of given more thought to lately is the 2012 thing. You know, we were young. They would say in the year 2012 the world was going to end.
Was the biggest
It was the
disappointment of
Mayan
my life.
calculator. It was like I think it was like December 21st.
History Channel had every day. They
It
would
wa-
have marathons about the Mayan calendar.
Yeah.
I remember.
Ancient aliens,
I was,
you know.
So I was renting my alcoholic uncle with kidney failure had to go like to the hospital, so he let me rent his condo from him, and I was renting this like beautiful, like hella nice, brand new tile everything condo, and for my dying uncle for like $400 a month.
Yeah.
And so I like felt like the biggest baller ever, and I remember watching the 2008 thing. Or I remember not the 2012 thing in 2008 in that condo, and I just remember thinking like, how if I'm in this amazing, like condo paying this low amount of money in 2008, like it's only getting better from here, and I only have 4 more years to enjoy my upward progression. So you know, but
live life to the fullest for
you know
those
what,
last
though?
4 years.
In 2012 is about when I started getting into meth and becoming homeless and
So-
stuff. So maybe
There's
my
some
encounter
weight to
was-
this theory.
yeah.
Okay, good. Let's talk more about it because that was a big shift in my life in 2012. You know, when I in the mid 2000s, you know, I moved out when I was 18, lived with my brother for about a year in Oregon, moved back, and then lived with some roommates. And then had a falling out with those roommates. I ended up having to move back in with my mom for a couple of years in my mid 20s. And then by the time I was 26, it's 2012. And I moved out into my own apartment for the very first time. You know, like by myself, Sacramento downtown. And I'm like trying to meet people, hanging out with some people. And that was the year I met my wife. And
So the world did end.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, then after that, you know, like, you know, we moved in together less than a year later. They got engaged, and then had a dog, got married, had a kid, and all that. And like, I really have a hard time even remembering things before 2012. It was such a significant.
2012 is when I got 2 DUIs.
Yeah, where were they?
One was in like Kirkland area, one was in Everett. And,
Okay,
yeah,
so
one
stay
of them-
local.
Yeah, one of them was.
This is educational because I don't know what happens after you get a DUI. So.
Well, I got them all dropped and deferred. I went to like a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't pay him because I was too broke. But I just got advice, and then he's like, get a public defender and follow what I tell you to do. And so I had the one, and he's, and then they dropped it to what's it called, like a reckless
Misdemeanor?
driving.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
because the one that I got right after it wasn't on the record yet, they dropped it. And then if they would have known that I got a DUI 2 in a row,
Yeah.
they would have never dropped it. But they didn't have it. Like when I went to court, they didn't have it.
Oh,
registered yet.
nice.
So then he's like, now when you go to court for the second one, get it deferred. And then they're going to say, don't do it because if you get a deferred DUI and then you get another DUI in the next 10 years, you get the book. You get like 365 days in jail, $10,000 in fines, license revoked. Like you basically, if you defer it, they're saying like, we're not going to give you a DUI, but you have to be perfectly good for the next 10 years. And if you're not, you're fucked. And so then they're like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, you already have a DUI, and now you're just like, that got dropped. You're bound to get another one. And I'm like, I'm going to roll the dice. And I did, and that was like 13 years ago, so I'm due for another one.
Yeah. Well, you know, maybe not.
No, not.
Maybe you try something different. You know, you've already gotten in a couple accidents. So, were you just pulled over and got a ticket, or was it something else,
No,
like
they
crashed?
Took me to jail. No, no, I didn't crash either one. I got pulled over, and then the other DUI, the one that the second one was actually for having. I had a bunch of like 30 milligram Percocets. I had like 30 of them, and I was high on them. And he found them because I didn't have my license or something. I forget what the whole thing was, but he basically I allowed him to search the car, and he found them all. And then I made up this lie that I'm like, oh, those are my prescription, and I keep them in a bag because if I put them in the bottle, I found they go missing because people know what they are. But if they're in a bag, nobody knows what they are. You know what I mean? I made it this like really like dumb, obvious lie, and I think he was trying to. He was like, "You're a good kid. I don't want to like ruin your life." So he's like, "I'm gonna give you a DUI because you're on them right now, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Of which I was, but I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm on them. You know, I have to take them for my prescription." And then he's like, "Yeah, well, then I'm gonna have to give you a DUI." And he's like, "But it could have been worse. I could have given you like, you know, you're not supposed to have.
You could have got AIDS, okay?"
Yeah, he's like, "You're not supposed to have pills in a bag." So, anyways, that. So I deferred that one, and then. You know, I've had a lot of court stuff, though, like a lot of just random dumb shit, like just hanging out at a park smoking meth. I've been caught doing that. You know, got arrested. I've been to the longest I was in jail was like 30 days.
Yeah.
Just from like stuff piling up like that, just like minor drug infractions that just kept getting piled up.
Now, were you, and when that happened, were you kind of just pretty street smart, or were you kind of scared going in at that point?
Oh no, I mean the first time I went to jail it was pretty scary, but then I just got super high on Oxycontin and it was only a day.
Yeah.
And I went there and it was like I had so much fun and I was like super high and playing like dominoes and
see, jail's different than prison. People forget like prison is scary.
Yeah.
All right, I would never want to. No, I don't even want to go.
Mostly like
I don't want to go to jail either, but
jail's just
it's temporary. You
jail
know?
smells like everyone's been sleeping. You know, like unshowered dudes that
Yeah.
have been sleeping all day. Like that's and like most of the people in jail, like you know, I had my one Mexican friend in jail who was like, "I love domestic violence. I don't know why I can't help it," and like. He was like maybe a little dangerous, but then he's like, we became everybody, because I was a drug user, and like everybody.
You could call ICE on him.
Yeah,
you know? Maybe that's your show. You call ICE on bad guys.
No,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, real bad. You could be like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
I liked him though. I thought he was funny.
Yeah.
You know, he
Rob the Bounty Hunter.
He beats women, but
yeah,
he chooses them based on. Remember, I told everybody about
based
it. Like,
on resiliency.
Yeah, he's like, I smash him in the face when I pretend the glove compartment is stuck, and he's like, if they don't mind it, then I'm going to keep them.
If their black eye goes away the next day. They're
and he was so
they're
that was
my
like
bae.
the scariest guy there, and he wasn't scary at all.
Yeah.
And then there's this Jehovah's Witness in one of them, and he was like this blackout drunk, but he's like, he's like, thanks to the power of Jehovah, like he found like Jehovah in jail, and so then he was like telling me how he's never gonna drink again because of Jehovah.
People don't really talk about them too much, you know. A lot of people make fun of the Mormons. But Jehovah's Witness is just as bad and just as. I mean, my cousins. That's all. I had cousins. My aunt, my uncle. They all. You know, I had a cousin that would give me these little Watchtower magazines once a month. I never really looked at. I thought the covers were cool though. I was like, oh, Watchtower. I was like into castles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, nice.
Like telling you to like watch out for like Satan.
Yeah, they're just like actually God's real name that for whatever reason is not in the Bible.
I like. So I did Jehovah's Witness in rehab. Funny story, he also beat his wife.
Yeah.
But he was really cool and like well spoken, and we had these long conversations about God because I'm like I've always been like a spiritual person, and I've always been interested in the concept of God. And so, you know, we'd have these like long debates and discussions, and I liked a lot of what he said. You know, he's like, yeah, Jehovah's Witness, we don't celebrate birthdays, we don't celebrate holidays because everything of this world is run by Satan. And I was like, dude, I also, he's like, I'm like, I smoked meth and I figured that out without becoming a Jehovah's Witness. So good for you for needing to do it that way. But I figured it out my way, and I think we're both very similar.
It's just like comedians. We all have a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
As long as the same result is achieved.
It's the same path.
Yeah.
Realizing the world is run by Satan.
It's very, you know, as goofy as it sounds, as the older I get, the more I feel like there's definitely some nefarious forces out there. You know, we're seeing it online, on the TikToks and the Twitters, the X's.
Even that stuff we talk about sex, like it's going to be funny when we all start to realize, like, oh, some of the stuff in the Bible, they had a point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if you just become a bunch of like fucking and sucking, like drug abusing assholes, like you're gonna have a pretty shitty world.
Yeah.
And then there could be forces that are telling us that we should, you know, like it could just be inside of every man, you know, like it's just the energy of man manifests in the nefarious forces. So like, but there are definitely people with agendas. They want, whether they're they're trying to make themselves feel better, or they make money off of it, or it is Satan, whatever. It's there are forces out there that are trying to tell us like, just party it up and like fuck everybody and don't believe in God, and like like even saying God, people get real, and I get why, because like the church gave a bad name to it, but I started talking about God and like people will get really like weird on me, and I'm like, dude, it's just like, it's not that weird to think that there's like an intelligence that's like higher than human, like look at nature.
It's a weird, things are, it's a weird thing when you walk into Target and you can see a vibrator for your butthole. You know, like they actually sell those at Target
that's
now.
Proof
like,
there's God.
Yeah,
like
that's proof there's Satan.
I've been
all right,
praying for that for at least 6 months now,
Yeah.
and you tell me it's finally manifested.
It's just like that's how much society has changed. That it's like anal is a normal, regular thing now. It's, I don't know, man, and I feel like.
Yeah.
Am I going more conservative as time goes on? I don't know.
Well,
I will say this.
Aleister Crowley had a fart fetish.
He also, yeah. Well, and then what's his name? Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin was obsessed with him, and he also hooked up with lots of underage girls. I also heard that Aleister Crowley did a bunch of gay stuff.
Oh, they all do gay stuff.
Like
I
it was
like
he had this thing called like gay magic.
Yeah, listen, that's what I was. Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome, because I was just gonna bring this up. So there's a psychic on TikTok, and she was talking about all the Diddy stuff, and she's like, Diddy is not a gay man. She was like, yes, he had gay sex, but it wasn't because he's a gay man. He's like, there are gay people that exist, but Diddy's not one. He is doing a specific sex magic ritual to harness the power of young men so that he can use it to create an empire. And then I was like, yeah, that sounds like a gay man.
Yeah.
Because like all the gay dudes I knew, they
sounds
were
like Michael Kors, actually. Shout out, good shirts. He's gay.
Gay.
One of my favorite judges from Project Runway, Michael Kors. There was this thing about gay magic. I remember just reading. There's all this stuff I want to do and read, but I want to do some gay magic. No, I was gonna read like a book about Aleister Crowley because it was pretty interesting. Like
I did voodoo with that Castro Vegas guy.
Yeah.
We killed a chicken and then we did some
shit.
weird ritual, and it was for like blessings and stuff. And now I got a condo.
Yeah. Hey, it works. Yeah, what is it called? Like the Shadowwood, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm not trying to give away your spot, but
the Shadowwood, that's crazy.
The Shadowwood.
Think about it. That sounds pretty dark and voodoo-y.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's the Shadowwood apartment for you, Mr. Conroy. Con.
The chicken bones are telling me that you live in the shadows.
And you goon very much all day long, man. You need to pursue.
Call me now for your free shadow reading.
Call me now for your free gooning. Yeah. Shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. We got not much going on, huh? We're just driving.
Yeah. I mean, this is a good pod, wasn't
it? This is the road pod, the road trip.
Yeah. We could do it one day.
This is
5-hour road trip pod. Yeah.
Well, we gotta have like PJ in the car or something like that, like somebody who when we don't have any more energy left, he can go. I was thinking about him a little bit earlier. I kind of feel like he's the next Alex Jones. I go to him for all my news, finding out about how our food is poison, and don't use deodorant.
I don't believe it.
I don't know. As I drink Monster Energy,
that's what I'm saying, though. Like, I honestly feel like, we're doing a lot right now. We're energetic. We're healthy.
I'm trying to put out this positive energy and entertainment.
And like we have positivity, and we're doing stuff, and we're functioning. And it's like these other people I know that are like worried about the water. Like I got a Zin in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I got I'll drink like 5 Sour Patch Kid drinks in a day. And I feel great. Like, and then other people that care about what they eat and stuff, they're like, my back is killing me and I'm dying and I can't sleep, and like I'm like, dude, how come I'm doing all this to my body? What's the difference here? And I think it's the way you're thinking trumps all that other shit. Like, obviously, if you're eating unhealthy, it's going to make it harder to think positive and yada yada. But
Yeah.
I honestly think it's less about the food and the poison and shit, and just like live a good lifestyle, think positive, keep your mind in a
Yeah, positive mindset makes a lot of difference, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you feel like shit, then you get sick. And
yeah. So it's like that's the most important over the food and stuff, and the food will follow. Like,
Yeah.
you know, have a positive mindset, and then maybe you will eat an apple instead of a fucking
Or instead of those nachos from the Shanghai room.
yeah.
that
Those
we,
are just
we just
delicious.
we just talked about, you know. Shout out to the
I
old school
hate those
fans who
nachos.
know that one.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't even want to bring them up ever again. They don't deserve,
Yes.
because like I remember even when Natalie was like, "Yeah, I heard you went." I went to the Shanghai room for 6 minutes, and everybody found out. Like,
Yeah,
it's like
wow.
a big deal.
That's crazy.
I guess I should be like happy.
Robbie told me he's going to film a special
Yeah,
there.
I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna
Yeah.
watch it August 20th.
August 20th. And then Robbie, friend of the show, we're going to support him and his crazy, wacky style of comedy. And
Remember that one when we did Nick Cody's show, and then you had, it was like me and then Danny Trevor. It was like a football. We did the football play-by-play.
yeah, that was fun. The Keon Larry was there.
Yeah.
You know, that was a good time. It was Danny's birthday. You know, I think Danny's birthday is like 2 days before mine.
Danny has disappeared.
Again?
Well, he's in Burien, but even Jake E.T. doesn't know where he's
Yeah.
at.
Danny, Trevor John, if you're out there, we're looking for you.
Need you on the pod.
Danny, Trevor John,
You
Stephen,
can have
Michael
a bottle
James.
of vodka right before you go on, like last time.
We'll bring some baby oil, put on some Diddy.
Pink cocaine.
Whatever.
Pink cocaine's
Yeah.
so dumb. I've been doing ecstasy and coke together since I was a child, and like but you know, people are talking about pink cocaine. It's so cool, and it's this new thing, and it's just Molly and cocaine, and that's like not that's not a new drug. That's like when
That's repackaged. That's
Yeah.
a remake. That's like the third Fantastic Four movie. They
Yeah.
just keeps happening. It's like Donald Trump.
it's like, no,
being
I want a
president
new
again.
drug. I need a new drug.
I want a new drug.
Yeah.
Huey Lewis. I don't know. Any last words of wisdom before we close this out, man? We're going to be doing some comedy
if
tonight.
you want to be successful in comedy, you have to have sex with me.
Yeah,
That's the
well,
rules.
I mean, I guess I'm not going to make it, but I'll recommend some people.
Yeah,
you know?
just send them my way.
I'll send them to
Let me
Rob's
do
way.
a show. Put me on a show. I need to plug something.
Yeah, he does. And he needs to plug a person.
Yeah, I need to plug
I
my
need to
butthole.
plug something.
I need to plug my butthole with a vibrating thing from Bartels.
Maybe if you use butt plugs, we'd like to talk to you on the pod.
Yeah, if you're a butt plug cult,
Yeah,
where you stick butt plugs in your ass and you worship Zool.
I'm really interested in the flexibility of the anal area.
Yeah, can it stretch as far as a pussy having a
It's
baby?
pretty wild how the human body can do some things. Some people can lift cars, some people
Have you ever
can.
had a shit so big that you had to pull it out of the toilet with a bag?
No,
Yeah.
no.
I have.
But I had to break it up sometimes, you know. It's
Yeah.
pretty bad, you know. Especially in those bad plumbing situations.
You know, I had one that was like actually like was scary. It was like it was the size of a baby.
This is the best way to end the podcast, you know. We're doing stool talk.
Clip it.
Hey, where's Rich Snyder?
Yeah.
Next time Rich is on the pod,
I liked his.
I want to ask him about my stool.
He had a joke where he's like, I was trying to do a party drug, so I went to the guy and I was like, can I have a meth? And I was like, yeah, meth. It works every time.
Oh man, that guy, you give that guy some meth, he's sucking everybody off.
Oh yeah.
Rich Snyder, one of my favorites. All right, guys, this is going to be the end of this episode, episode 49.
He's a force to
Thanks
be
for tuning in,
reckoned.
and we'll see you next time.
Comedy Simp, the podcast you can't resist. Stephen Michael James, the host you won't wanna miss. From Seattle to the world, his humor will persist. Join the fun, get ready to enlist. Spitting fire.